Hey everyone, it's Deb. Welcome to the November 15th edition of the Oh So Inspired Collab, which is hosted by Call Me Crafty Al here on YouTube. Alicia is her name. Hi, Alicia. So, the inspiration was a video by Lisa. Oh boy. I believe it is spelled C-U-R-C-I-O, Curcio. Anyway, it's this card here, and basically what she did is well, there's a card stock underneath, and what she did is she stamped, she figured out how big she wanted this opening. It's an opening. And then she used a piece of paper in here to stamp on it, and then she elevated these pieces here, put another like a border trim under it first, and then elevated these, and then stamped and cut a flower out. And it was a Stampin' Up kit called Oh So Eclectic or something like that. Okay. Very pretty, a little bit complicated. It's a little tricky getting the angles and stuff right. At least it was for me. Now, this I got from her blog. The video is what's attached, but it had dimensions and things in here, which, of course, I didn't exactly follow the first time. Anyway, what I did was similar. This is the first card that I made, and it's all about the snowflakes, and it says let it snow, because the weather's been turning chillier here lately. So, and actually this morning there was a snowflake on my phone in the forecast for like Friday or Saturday. I'm like, so I remembered that I had the snowflake dies, first of all. And they say 116846, but made in China. I can't remember if I got them from AliExpress or from Amazon, because I initially started going to AliExpress and then I stopped, and I now buy my cheaper paper shaper things from Amazon, because some of the same vendors are on there. I feel like I have the Amazon backing, all that kind of stuff. So I had those, and I knew I wanted to use those. I have this embossing folder, which looks like this, which is Snowflakes by Darice, and I had paid 99 cents for it at Tuesday morning a while ago, and it's called just Snowflakes. Then I had to figure out the paper, so I was thinking blue, so I pulled out this Recollections Cape Cod, which I had bought not too long ago at Michael's online when they had a special on. And I picked out, well, let me tell you, first I did a boo-boo. I was trying a technique I had seen where you stamp on your embossing folder, and then you put your paper in, and then you run it through your machine, and it leaves color. So the first time I did it, I put it on the wrong side, and this is what I ended up with. But the other side that's embossed is white. So that was a boo-boo. And also the boo-boo was, I had thought this was a little bit different shade. Broken China, I thought it was lighter based on this color on here. But it turns out it's more like almost like a teal green. So I did it again, just on the right side that I was supposed to do it on, and it turned out better. But it didn't quite seem like snowflakey color, and I couldn't find plain paper that I had to match that color. So anyway, so I changed my mind, So I went digging in my inks, which I don't have. I have some, but I don't have, like, you know, racks full of them. So I pulled out these two. And I only have one set of 4 of these. And I have nautical blue and gray flannel. So I tried that. And that looked like this, which is what I used. I put the gray down first, and I thought maybe I'd use gray because then I could add silver, but anyway, I put gray and blue on. So that is what you're seeing in here. You're seeing embossed paper. And on her inspiration, she had just stamping. So anyway, I had some elevation in the paper just with the embossing. Then I found, I was trying to figure out what am I going to cut these snowflakes out of, and also which color paper am I going to use. And I went with the darker blue because I just thought it made it pop, especially since I had bought a while ago at Joann's, I believe, this American Crafts Coordinations cardstock Opulent Opal. And I thought, how perfect is that for snowflakes? See the glitter? It's like it changes color. And snowflakes sort of do that. So I had that. So yeah, I was punching out. Now wait, see, won't they make great stencils? Anyway, so I had 2 sheets of that. I only used part of one. And I used that not only for the snowflakes, but to do these strips here, which gave me the most trouble. I don't know why I couldn't get it through my thick head how to do those right, but they're a little off. But that's okay. I don't mind. Now I don't mind. I did mind at first. Anyway. Also, she used like foam tape, almost like dimensionals, but in tape. And the only one I had of that was huge, like, you know, 1/2 inch wide. I decided not to use that, but I did use my red line tape because I wanted those to stick down. First, I liquid glued the glitter paper onto the navy, or whatever color that is, on both sides. And then once I got the shape right, I used the red line tape, and I wasn't too worried about dimension because I had dimension in the embossing here, and just the 3 levels of paper is dimension, and I added these snowflakes. Now I thought about bumping them up also, but they are so delicate. I didn't think it would look right because I couldn't figure out how to bump them up on the edges too. So I just glued them down carefully, and then I knew, it took me a while to find them, but I knew I had these which I just had and now can't find, these blue pearls from Jot, so they're Dollar Tree, and I thought they matched beautifully. Oh, and then I was looking for, okay, what sentiment am I going to use? And she had stamped a sentiment down in the corner down here. It says, "You're just lovely." I didn't know what I was going to do, and I thought, so I had this Let It Snow, and I had a different one. But the other one, it was small. Let's see, it's Hero Arts. It's real small, and it had Let It Snow, Let It Snow, Let It Snow. And I decided not to use that because I decided to experiment with embossing powder, which this is my second try at using embossing powder. And I think I did okay. I tested it first. You see, this one didn't get so good. This one got better. Yeah. So I knew I had to go heavy. And what I used was this Stampendous clear embossing ink. And quite honestly, that worked for me a lot better than the first one I used. I think I did this Versamark, which I thought was what most people use, but I don't know. Anyway, I really think this covered the stamp better, gave it something more to have the embossing powder adhere to. And I only had like pearl, which didn't look glittery enough for snowflakey. And I had this opaque sparkle, but it has like a blue tint to it. And I wasn't sure I'd like the, oh, it's actually the color is vintage blue, opaque sparkle vintage blue. So there you go. So that's what I ended up with. I wish it was opaque sparkle pearl or something, or white. But I think it looks okay. And then I used, on this one, I used a little bit of Stardust Stickles just to put a few little tiny dots of snow around. I was going to use these little punch outs from the paper, because they have sparkle too, from the snowflakes, but I don't have the real teeny weeny fine tip glue, and I didn't want to risk that. And then I just put a tiny little snowflake stamp on the inside, and that was out of the Hero Arts. What is this called? This is called Mini Christmas. Mini Christmas. And I don't remember where I got that. But anyway, so that is my first card. And then I thought, boy, I really made that complicated. And I wanted to try this border stamp. So I thought, well, you know, it'd be just easy if I just stamp all over the card and then put the papers down. But I kind of took a shortcut. I did emboss this. I put it in my my stamp thing. What's this called? Stamp Perfect that I have before they stopped selling them. Anyway, I stamped this also. I'm also with the Stampendous clear embossing ink. And then I had found well, when I started doing paper crafting, I had a blue, like a toolbox shaped thing. Anyway, it was full of some Stampin' Up stamps and a few inks I didn't even know I had. Maybe they were my daughter's. I don't know. I don't know where they came from, but they made it to my house in my move back in 2000 and sat in my basement since then till earlier this year. So I had this bordering blue. It's a very pale blue. But what I did is I used the embossing ink for there and for here for the Let It Snow Again. And I still need practice because some of this is coming off already. And then instead of going over it, I just put borders on. I put a light blue. I used the lighter blue paper out of that same Recollections paper pad. I put a strip at the bottom and the top of the border, and then I just used the biggest snowflake. And I think this is the smallest one. Yes, it's this one here. And then I used, oops, sorry, Waterfall. I really like this color. I need to get another one of these somewhere. The stickles called Waterfall. It's this real pale blue, because you can see some of my embossing pattern I heated it and it looked like it stuck, but apparently I didn't heat it long enough or something, and it's rubbing off. So I went over some of them with this Waterfall, which is coming up bright blue there, but it's really a very pale blue when you use it. And I love, that's one of my favorites, those two. And then inside I kind of messed up. I put one little stamp, but it had a line there, so I thought, well, I'll just put a cluster of snowflakes in. So, and that one was also Hero Arts, and it was this one here. So there's a few little, this is really cute. I thought it was more for planners, but I'm really kind of liking it for other stuff too. And so those are my two cards that I made, inspired by Lisa, probably butchering her name, Cureo. I think it's Cureio, but it's so faint I can barely see it on here. So, this is our Oh So Inspired for November 15th. I hope you will go check out the others. Like I said before, I'm fairly new to card making, so I am enjoying practicing my card making. I can only get better, I hope. I don't know. I think I did okay. Of course, I see the faults with them, and I know what I would do differently. So, given time, I'm going to practice at these because I really kind of like the style of them. Both, actually. Oh, and I forgot to say, my starting point for the card base was, I cheated and I didn't cut them. I used these coordinations also. So I guess, I don't know if that's Michael's or Joann's. Dory's. It's probably Joann's. Anyway, these white smooth A2 cards, because that way, hopefully, they'll fit in the envelopes that came with them. If I choose to send them. So, that's all. Hope you enjoyed. Have a wonderful day once you see this. And I will talk to you soon. Hugs and love. Bye.